You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
We now wander off the beaten path with an update from the Reefer Reporter.
Hello and welcome to the Reefer Reporters. It's March the 28th, 2022, and we are live here on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook and YouTube pages, and we'll be podcasted afterwards at paceradio.net. I'm Al Graham, and that way, there's Kelly. She joins us here at the Legacy420.com news desk. Good morning, Reverend Kelly. How you doing?
Good morning. I love that it is the Legacy 420 news desk because I love Legacy 420. I haven't visited them in a while. I plan to go soon down in Tyendinaga there. Our dear friends Tim Bernhard and Kenzie's down there with past the peace pipe stuff. So hello and good morning to our friends there.
Yes, exactly. We'll hear from Scott and the peace pipe later on in the broadcast. Yes, it's. I always enjoy going down there and speaking with everybody. You know, bud tenders to the people in the offices.
That's right. Wonderful organization.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the news, how was the lounge this past weekend?
Oh, good. We have friends that we haven't seen in a while coming back. They're visiting again. It's so nice to be open again and to be able to welcome people. And we're seeing people without masks. We're seeing some with masks. And it's different. It's a whole new world. So it's nice that people are starting to visit again. Thanks for asking.
Good. I see you got yourself something set up there today.
Instead of sitting in the sunny window, I figure I do a show right from this location on Sunday nights, called Spiritual Sunday. So I figured I'm just going to set up and stay this way, and then I'll do the news here on Monday morning with you like this.
Okay. Works great. Looks good.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into the news, quick little thing that happened over the weekend with myself. I don't know if you saw a picture lately of I posted some. A picture of some. I'm forgetting what it was. Suppositories. There we go. I posted a picture of some suppositories that I picked up at an OCS store, and so I was together with some friends over the weekend. And so what we did is we took one of them, and we took one from the Aboriginal market, and we did a test, and we put it in, like, we made the water warm. I don't know the exact temperature of the water, but it wasn't cold water. You're trying to get something that was half decent to body temperature, anyways. And we put them in the separate containers, and they to watch them melt. And the one that we bought from the OCS store, it seemed to take quite a while. Like, it seemed like half an hour.
Oh, took longer.
Yeah. The one we got from the Aboriginal store, it was like from on a reserve. It just dissolved like in a couple of minutes.
Wow. So maybe there's more natural things in there, and maybe the one from the OCS store has things that take a long time to break down.
It seemed waxy, so maybe it just took a little while longer for the wax.
Yeah, but what are they using? So that makes me concerned. What are they using then? And I would say that a suppository is definitely a medical product over a recreational product. What about you, Al?
I completely agree.
So they're being sold at the adult use stores in a recreational sense. Yes. I had no idea, actually. Because every time I've ever had anybody look for them, I've sent them to Indigenous markets. They have some wonderful medicine in there because they call it medicine. I've never heard of a suppository being used in a recreational form, but go team.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah, it just, it was just one of those things that came along, and it was, and I gotta say, an hour later, the one we got from the Indigenous market, it was still, it didn't sink down to the bottom. It was still it didn't settle. It all stayed broken up. It's all, exactly.
This is really important information.
The other one seemed to have some, I'm gonna say, probably maybe some waxy material that doesn't dissolve, and it was floating in the water.
I would love to find out what they use. Thanks for sharing this, Al. This is really important.
You'll have to take a look. Take a look online. I'll send you the link later, maybe.
Thank you.
All right, now into news that we're going to discuss. Our 10 stories for today. We'll get started right here. Well, we're going to get started in Quebec here in Canada, and that is because the SGF is a consulting firm in Quebec. They've released the remedies of the 4 cannabis plants at home in Quebec.
Right, so it happened in Superior Court in September 2020. They said, we won! And then immediately after, the government appealed the decision to the Court of Appeal.
That's right. In September of 2021, the Court of Appeal ruled in favor of the government of Quebec, and we therefore filed an application for leave of appeal with the Supreme Court of Canada.
Okay, so on March 10th, 2022, the Supreme Court of Canada accepted the appeal.
Yay!
Right.
Therefore, we will have a chance to be heard by the Supreme Court. It is therefore possible for anyone with an interest to intervene in the file.
Whew. Okay, so then they're saying if you're an individual or a group with an interest in cannabis, in the case of the 4 plants at home, they're inviting you to contact them to discuss a possibility for you and your group to intervene during the pleadings in Supreme Court. So it's really a call to action.
Yeah, exactly. The email address is there. It's info@groups, GROUPESGF.ca.
Yeah.
Now, also check the Facebook group for the Reefer reporters, and you'll see. I'm pretty sure it's posted there for people to see what it is. Okay. And this has got to do with the course in Quebec. They don't allow you to grow 4 plants. No. Even though they're legal to in Canada, right? So this group has brought it on behalf of the complainant, Janet Murray Hall, and it's action against the Quebec government, which prohibits people in Quebec from growing those 4 legal plants.
Wow, that's progress. So this is, I think, Lo Clark should be there. I think she should be, when it says they're looking for anybody that wants to speak up, let's call Lo, because I bet she'll have something beautiful to say about there. How important is this, Al? This is
very important. There's no reason why people in Quebec or Manitoba, because once in Quebec, the battle goes on there. In the Supreme Court, that'll make a decision for right across the country.
Wow. So I was on a podcast with someone in Ohio last week, and they shared that they will not walk into their children's school to pick them up with a cannabis shirt. And I was like, what? You can't be like that. You have to be free. It's legal there in some ways. And then I realized you can't do that in Quebec either. That's a problem. That's our next door neighbor. The rules there are so draconian. They're so of yesterday. Things need to change. And I hope that this is the first step towards that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it only makes sense. It doesn't make sense to do what they're doing. It's just ridiculous. So, all right, on to our next story, and this is one got to do with a bit of a money issue. Here we got Eve & Co. files for creditor protection, and 2 directors resign, according to Mugglehead magazine.
Bye-bye. I love those plants. I need to just take a moment and look at those beautiful plants. Canadian cannabis producer Eve & Co. Incorporated is making last-ditch efforts to stay in business.
That's right. On Friday, the company said it's applying for creditor protection from the Ontario Superior Court after receiving approval from its directors and careful consideration for all available alternatives.
So relatedly, directors Ravi Sood and Jeanette Vandermeerel both resigned this week.
Yeah. Eve & Co. Says the initial order being sought includes a stay of proceedings in favor of the company, approval of director or debitor in possession loan, and an appointment of BDO Canada Limited as a company monitor.
So the stay of proceedings would allow the firm to conduct a sale and invest solicitation process that sees it exit from the creditor protection as a going concern.
Yeah, the statement reads the company is confident that the protection afforded by the company's Creditors Arrangement Act will be sufficient to allow the Eve Group to address its liquidity issues and stabilize operations.
Okay, so what do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to sell? Is that what's they're in the process here?
They've got to create some money somewhere.
They're looking for somebody to help them, is basically it.
Yeah, they're looking for them to be protected. Yeah, trying to get protection so they don't have to file bankruptcy.
So if the initial order is granted, the firm says it will operate normally through the creditor protection and solicitation process.
Yeah, in order to fund the proceedings and other short-term working capital requirements, the company says it's executed a term sheet with Dean's Knight Capital Management Limited on behalf of its DIP lender clients, where the lender will give a $2.2 million DIP loan given that the court approves the order.
Oh boy. Okay. According to Even Coast third quarter 2021 financial filings, net loss for the 3 months ending September 30th was $293,258. The company has a cash position of $289,000 and a working capital deficit of $15.4 million. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Another one, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've tried their pre-rolls before, and I can tell you, I can't remember them at all. Like, I was trying to think as I was going through, did I like them? Did they do anything? Did I ever ask for them again? And that's what I can say about trying Even Coast pre-rolls for sure.
I guess they didn't leave a lasting impression.
No, and I have ones that I will go back for. Like I love getting pre-rolls and trying different ones, and I have ones that I will repeatedly ask for. Most of them are sold out. They're hard to stock. But this one I've never gone back for. So I wonder if that has anything to do with why they're not succeeding. Maybe.
Maybe.
I love their name. I think, I love the Eve name. Oh, well.
Oh,
sorry, guys.
Yeah. So, yeah. See what happens. Time will tell, right?
Yeah, time will tell.
All right. On to our next story. This one's coming to us from Alberta, where the AGLC delays enforcing age gating laws on online cannabis sales. What?
The provincial body that's regulating legal cannabis sales is holding off on enforcing federal regulations to screen minors from purchasing cannabis online, with one official saying that Ottawa could step in at any time.
Wow. Mike Hansen, owner of Moderna Cannabis Society, said he voiced concerns to the Alberta Gaming, Liquor and Cannabis Commission officials about competitors not complying with age gating regulations since private online sales and deliveries began March the 8th.
So on March 18th, he received an email response from Brent Harrington, the AGLC's senior manager of inspections for Southern Alberta, saying the agency is focused on ensuring retailers meet provincial and federal standards in keeping cannabis out of minors' hands.
Yeah, he wrote that AGLC is aware of numerous Alberta retailers who have reserved online pickup and pay in-store presence systems that are non-compliant with Section 17 of the Federal Cannabis Act, he says.
Okay, so the AGLC inspections, they're not currently taking enforcement action against those sites. Their focus is on reviewing and approving suitable age-gating online systems for private online sales.
Yeah, he says he went on to say that the federal regulator, Health Canada, may at any time decide to intervene.
Huh.
So that would mean Health Canada would be coming into the Alberta government and saying, "Hey, what's going on here?"
Yeah. Okay, so the explanation makes little sense given the AGLC demanded regulations be met prior to endorsing them to operate online, said Henson, president of the Mandera Cannabis Society, which is on Center Street.
Yeah, he says he knows of at least one independent retailer who has been contacted by the AGLC for not complying with the age gating rules that require retailers to go beyond online requests for shoppers to self-attest their age by demanding to view buyer's ID.
So it seems the AGLC is picking and choosing on who it wants to enforce its rules on, said Hansen, adding he's requiring driver's license information or other valid ID before allowing customers to view his products online.
So have you ever bought anything online?
Never. No, but I think I want to now. Because I want to see how it works.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, do you have to, the guy mentions is going to mention here about needing to show driver's licenses and stuff, but like, how is that done? Do you have to scan it? Is there an
I think
actual
that.
video?
Oh, you know what? I will tell you, I did illegally buy something online a few years ago, before cannabis was illegal. And with that person, I did have to scan and send my driver's license and prove that it was me, and like have a conversation and show pictures. So it could be something maybe similar to that. That was when it was illegal. So I'm imagining there's something that the government has put into place to
Be
make
something
you.
similar.
There had to be. Yeah.
All right. He says they made it clear to me that they are aware people are not complying, but they're not doing anything about it. We just want a level playing field, according to Hansen. Adding, his store might enforce facial recognition technology to screen customers.
That's what's going to happen. We're headed into the metaverse. I bet that's what's going to happen very soon because of that. And you know what? That will help with age gating, right? You are required to prove it's you by way of ID. Now, one of the main objectives of legalizing recreational cannabis was to keep it out of the hands of underage teenagers.
Yeah. Other Alberta cannabis retailers have expressed concerns about how age gating requirements, which they say are stricter than those in other provinces, are violating privacy laws.
Right, and a ban on using third-party delivery services along the lines of Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes has raised worries about insurance liability for stores using in-house couriers.
Which has led to some places holding off on their online sales and delivery until those uncertainties are ironed out. So would they not have had some system,
Yeah.
minimum? Yeah. Like,
there would have to be, but this goes alongside the article that we discussed last week and yourself the week before about the laws changing about delivery to festivals and events.
Yeah.
So this is sort of, I think at this point in time, they're looking at things and going, okay, we're about to have an explosion on delivery. We're about to have that. It's going to happen because Alberta tourism is just going, okay, let's go, guys. Come on, because it's going to be huge for them. So they must be age gated. They have to be.
Yeah, I'll have to check with the local, I'm going to say local stores in the next towns and ask them how they're going to do delivery to our town where we've opted out.
Yeah.
And how that is all going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'll talk directly to them.
That's a really good idea.
All right, continue on.
Where are we? As our resources are freed up, AGLC will begin to enforce the use of a reasonable age gate for all sites that licensees own or are responsible for that promote cannabis, said in AGLC in a statement.
These measures will ensure Alberta is protecting minors from gaining access to cannabis. As of Wednesday, the AGL said it had issued 104 endorsements for online retailers out of 756 stores.
Okay, well, let's follow that one because that's going to have a huge effect on tourism.
Yeah, like not only in Alberta, but how is it operating here? Like we said, how does it operate here in Ontario?
We'll find out.
Yes. All right, I'll get the next story lined up here. Nice background there, Reverend Kelly. All right, here we go up to the next story. And it says that in reversal, Ontario cannabis regulator to allow white label retail deals.
So interested by this. I'm so interested by this. The cannabis retail regulator in Ontario is set to reverse course on its recent decision to ban retailers from creating in-house brands and white label products.
Yep, the move, if implemented, would allow cannabis stores in Canada's largest market to continue signing agreements with producers to create such products, according to an email from the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario.
It's huge.
And that was obtained by MJ Biz Daily, but I don't see why not.
It's huge. This is going to be huge. So you've got Tokyo Smoke wants its own brand of Tokyo Smoke gummies or something like that. Now they're going to be able to do that. Is that what this is saying? Because that's going to be huge for these retailers.
Yeah. And when it comes to the cannabis itself.
Everything. Look, it's saying
somebody makes a no-name product.
Yeah.
When you and they've just branded it all no-name.
Yep. Yes, exactly. Even the one-off mom and pop cannabis stores, they imagine they get their own brand of cannabis sent from these growers, from these LPs. So in February, the AGCO announced its intention to of course, prohibit retailers from co-branding cannabis or accessories with producers. Oh, and accessories too. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. There was a big outcry over that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The move would have meant products branded with retailers' names or white label products produced under a special brand were off the table.
So existing white label products could have continued to be sold, but the provincial retail regulator said that retailers had to exit any current agreements and not enter any new agreements once the updated standards came into effect.
Yeah, the new rule was to take effect at the end of June, along with other regulatory changes such as updates rules surrounding material inducements from licensed cannabis producers.
However, the AGCO now will be announcing an amendment to these standards permitting retail licensees to enter into agreements with a producer for store brand or white label cannabis products. And that's according to an email.
Yeah, the regulatory reversal on white label products is a result of input from the cannabis sector and reflects the AGCO's ongoing commitment to engagement with stakeholders, according to the email.
Very cool. In a statement to MG Biz, an AGCO spokesperson said the regulator is currently reviewing the matter and will share information on the sector in the near future. So it could happen this year.
That's right, because several Canadian cannabis retailers with Ontario operations had already launched or planned to launch white label or house brands, including High Tide, Sessions Cannabis, and Fire and Flower.
That's amazing. That's amazing. The AGCO's move to ban those white labeled products came as a surprise, said Mimi Lam, co-founder of the Ontario cannabis retailer Superette, which has white label products for sale in its stores and other. I wasn't aware that they were doing it already. That's brilliant. That's a brilliant marketing tool for these people. Yeah. I hope that they're able to keep it.
Well, some retailers already having established white label partnerships. Lam says the requirement for operators to get out of white label products by June 30th would have had material impacts to businesses on both sides of the equation and has material impact to future business as well.
Wow. Lam said that she was glad that the AGCO took industry stakeholders' concerns into account.
Yeah, she says that it shows a good sign that they're willing to work collaboratively on making decisions that might make sense for the industry.
Right. Saying that they could potentially result in really interesting products and brands going forward. It could, adding in with different accessories or combustible products, consumable products. I love this idea for these retailers, especially if they're trying to set themselves apart in a saturated market.
Yes. Yeah. I just found it odd. Why would they want them to not?
Yeah. I think maybe greed. I don't know. I always go back to greed because why wouldn't they want to offer that to the retailers?
Yeah,
it's a brilliant idea.
You know, you go to a grocery store, you got products there that say no frills, no frills products.
Yep.
So
they should be able to do that, especially if they can do it in a no frills kind of way, and then get the consumer to come back for those products because they need that right now. They need extra whatever they can get to. I'm seeing stores starting to shut down in different markets all over.
Yeah.
Well, oversaturation, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I can tell you here, we're still seeing them open.
Good.
So, all right, on to our next story. This one says that $4.5 billion worth of illegal cannabis seized in Leamington, according to the OPP.
Look at that room right there. Look at that grow room. 4 people from the Toronto area are facing charges after a cannabis growing operation was busted in Leamington.
Yeah. OPP searched the property on the 100 block of Mercer Road back on Thursday, and police seized 7,600 cannabis plants in various stages of growth, along with 225 kilograms of processed cannabis and growing supplies.
Wow. $4,418,490,000. Look at that. Look at that photo.
4 million, right?
4 million.
4 million. Okay. Question.
Yeah.
Because cannabis is now legal, a pound of cannabis is no longer worth a couple $1,000s.
No.
It's only worth $500.
Sure. Yeah.
So have the police adjusted the value of the cannabis to show that? Or are they still using the old pricing when they do these evaluations or do these?
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, this was brought up by Kirk Tusa on Twitter. So I thought, hey, he's got a point.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So does that $4 million all of a sudden become $1 million?
Yeah, I always wondered that. Like, where are they getting their figures from?
Well,
if they pull a plant in a stage of growth that's not going to reap any benefit from them, why are they classifying it as costing so much? Or
they allow $1,000 for a plant when they pull it out of the ground.
Right.
Assuming it's going to get a half a pound off of it.
Right. And so, and we know that that's not even worth $1,000.
Yeah. Cannabis is only worth $500 a pound now, not $2,000.
We gotta fix it. We gotta make sure. But look at all those bags. That's
I know.
Bricks and beautiful. Look at the beautiful plants. I love when they show photos. Send us off into commercial break with some beautiful photos.
That's right. Well, the 4 people are arrested with cultivating, propagating, and harvesting more than 4 cannabis plants. There's the bags right there.
Couple more.
Bags full of buds. There's some more pictures of some more plants. There we go.
7,600 plants were seized.
Yeah. So those plants aren't, hey, let's look at it this way. I'll bring those plants back up.
Yeah.
All right. Would you give $1,000 for that plant? You see that close-up plant down at the bottom of the page? Yeah. $1,000 for that? Come on.
No, definitely not. But it was sad that they're getting murdered by the police. Those poor plants, they didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly. So there you go. Yeah, we got to start questioning that, I believe, in order to make sure that the proper value is there, and obviously it's less now than what it was before. So, well, time for us to take a break. Reverend Kelly and I will be right back afterwards. Meanwhile, our listeners and watchers, you'll be able to see and hear from our fine sponsors. You're watching and listening to the Reefer Reporters. We are live here on the Pace Radio Network. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Hi folks, Scott from stfattiesday.com here, and we're absolutely stoked to tell you about our brand new program called Pass the Peace Pipe and our partnership with Legacy 420 out of Tyndonega. We are absolutely proud to be partners with these people. They are an amazing group that have helped so many people with their amazing cannabis medicinal products. And we are working together to gather funds to build the first ever Indigenous specific opioid addiction center here in the Bay of Quinte area on Tyndonega land. So we need your help. We need you to repost this video and go to our GoFundMe campaign, because on this October 17th, St. Fatty's Day, we are going to be starting the campaign where we pass the peace pipe from one side of the country to another to unite our country, to gather awareness, but most importantly funds to build opioid addiction centers across the nation, one build at a time.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to savethevcbc@gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
Growing your own cannabis is easier than you think. Whether you're growing for recreational or medical purposes, BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. From the standard 4-plant recreational systems to the latest cutting-edge hydroponic equipment, BMA can customize your package and do it at discount prices. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and ask us for a free estimate. Or call 613-967-9888 and we will give you an estimate over the phone.
The only way to go.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net. Hey, you're listening to the Reefer Reporters, or you're watching the Reefer Reporters. We are live here at the Pace Radio Network's Facebook and YouTube pages, and we're podcasted afterwards at paceradio.net. Well, Kelly, we've got 5 more stories that we're going to cover over the next half hour or so. And the first one up is, come on, there we go. Possession of small amounts of cannabis can lead to a criminal record in 19 U.S. states.
Oh my goodness. It's a
2020. You hear so much about legalizing down there as far as state-wise that, it seemed like almost everybody down there was either medical or recreational.
Right, but it's not as beautiful as we make it out to be, because a 2020 Gallup poll from nearly 70% of Americans believe that cannabis should be legal, and that's not the case.
No, that's right. The record high level of support remained consistent in 2021, and the majority of residents in every single U.S. state support legalization.
So a new report from the Marijuana Policy Project, however, highlights that there are still 19 U.S. states where simple possession can lead to a criminal record and incarceration.
Jail time for possession.
Yep, for a plant.
Yep. The report contends, report goes on to say that not only are the cannabis policies in these states outdated, but they're also unjust and inhumane.
It's so true. And though 18 states have fully legalized the plant and 36 states have legalized medical cannabis, the law continues to be applied unevenly in U.S. states where cannabis remains prohibited.
And that was a problem here in Canada at one time. Well, it still is.
Yep.
As we talked about earlier, the plant thing.
Yep.
Citing an American Civil Liberties Union report, MPP notes that Black people are more likely than white people to be arrested for cannabis possession, despite similar use rates in every single state.
In some states, such as Kentucky, the disparity in arrest rates for simple possession offenses is 9 times higher for Black people than it is for white people.
Yeah, the normal blog that they got here says that in Iowa and Wisconsin, Black people are arrested for possession at more than 7 times the rate of whites. Black people are arrested for cannabis possession in Kansas, South Dakota, and Utah at roughly 5 times the rate of whites. Oh, Kelly.
Pulled right over or stopped, or even no matter what, just because of the color of their skin, and of course pulled over far more than people with a different color. So in addition to criminal sanctions, those convicted of cannabis crimes potentially face losing professional licenses, increased barriers to employment, deportation, and loss of educational financial aid, as well as are barred from adopting, voting, receiving food stamps, and performing jury service, among other penalties. It's like they're treated like second-class citizens, like less.
Big time, and all that for possessing a plant.
For a plant. Did you pick this article for me to start yelling? Wow.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh.
This is in addition to the negative mental health outcomes, disconnection from family, and loss of autonomy that many account, because of cannabis arrest, which is so true.
Yep. In some states, like Alabama, individuals can be jailed for up to 1 year on a first offense for possessing a small amount of personal use cannabis. A repeat offense carries a mandatory minimum of 1 year and 1 day in jail. Mandatory.
Mandatory. So let's just think. You got a mandatory sentence for possession of cannabis, even for small amounts. So you get busted twice or 3 times for having 2 or 3 grams.
Of
You're in
medicine.
jail for a year. You don't even have a choice.
Because it's your medicine. Because it's your medicine that makes you well, that keeps you alive, that puts you into balance, that so you can leave your house, or so that you can get out of bed, or so that you can be healed from things, or you can stop having seizures or tremors.
Yeah.
And they put you in jail for it.
Not right.
Woo!
Not right. Despite the record levels of support for legalization, the report finds the U.S. DEA arrested 2,600 individuals for cannabis offenses back in 2019.
50 years after the Schaefer Commission report, it is past time for Congress and the President to follow its advice to remove federal penalties for personal possession of cannabis, notes the report. The federal government should not be threatening its citizens with incarceration for using a substance that is safer than alcohol. It argues.
Bingo. Yes.
Woo!
Yeah.
Let's talk about that all day long to anyone who will listen.
Yeah. Yeah. Arresting people for a plant and throwing them in jail like that, just not right.
Mm-mm.
No. All right, on to our next story. And this one says, U.S. House will vote on legal status of cannabis next week. Hey, let's hopefully make
You have a choice here. You have a way to get past what we were just talking about and fix and right the wrongs. The U.S. House of Representatives will vote next week on whether to stop listing cannabis as a controlled substance. Wow.
Oregon's $1 billion recreational cannabis market faces all kinds of problems because the plant remains illegal under federal law. For example, businesses must deal mostly in cash because banks and credit card companies often don't want to risk falling afoul of the federal government.
It's Democratic Oregon Republican Earl Blumenauer, and he says that the House passed the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act last session, but the bill died in Senate.
This time we have Senate leadership who support legalization, he says. Oregon senior U.S. Senator Ron Wyden called the vote a solid step on the road to overhauling outdated and unjust federal cannabis policy.
Saying, I'm all in to advance the work in the Senate with the cannabis legalization bill. I'm proud to lead along with Senator Chuck Schumer of New York and Cory Booker of New Jersey, Wyden says.
Yeah. Now, the Drug Policy Alliance, they're obviously in agreement of all this, and they say that for over half a century, cannabis prohibition has stood as the cornerstone of the cruel and inhumane drug war that has robbed millions of people of their freedom and their livelihoods, the weight of which has disproportionately fallen on the backs of Black, Latinos, Indigenous, and low-income communities who remain its number one target.
Most states in the country allow cannabis sales in some form. Cannabis industry stocks increased notably on news of the pending House vote. What do you think is going to happen, Al?
What do I think is going to happen? I believe it will pass the House. Unfortunately, it will be the 7th time, from my understanding, that it has done so, and it's just never made it through the Senate.
So it'll happen, and it'll just be a check mark, but it won't be a step even.
Yeah, because we've read a report in the past that it's already been passed in the House a half a dozen times, and it's never gotten to, my understanding, never gotten to the Senate when it was Republican led. Now it's Democratic led. It's a squeaker. It's a squeaker. Will it get there this time and get voted on? That'll be up to Chuck to bring it up.
Come on, Chuck.
That's right. Now,
come on, Chuck.
Chuck and bringing up sometimes can be brought the wrong way.
Come on, Chuck.
Come on, Chuck. Let's do it.
Praying for you.
On to our next story. Detroit again delays launching recreational cannabis market according to MJ Biz Daily. Delayed.
Failed once more to follow through on a promised recreational cannabis ordinance that would allow entrepreneurs to launch adult use businesses, this time delaying a city council vote on the proposal.
The delayed vote, which is now scheduled for April the 5th, is the latest in a nearly 2-year-long wait for hopeful Detroit cannabis businesses, and it's still unclear when the new market might launch, according to the Detroit Free Press.
A legal adult use market in Detroit was initially approved by the City Council in November 2020, but it was then thrown into uncertainty into early 2021 when residency requirements for business licenses were challenged in court.
Yeah, court challenge is always going to slow you down. The lawsuit eventually led to a judge tossing the residency mandate as likely unconstitutional, which meant the city council had to start over on recreating an adult use business ordinance. That process began last month.
Now, the City Council is poised to sign off on 100 retail permits, an increase from the suggested total of 76, and a lottery process to award the licenses.
Under the current law, half the retail and cultivation permits available will be reserved for social equity applicants. Good to hear that part.
I like that. I didn't like the lottery. I'm not a big fan of that lottery process when it comes to those kind of things, but I'm happy to hear that they're going to have parts for the social equity applicants.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because you might as well allow it in Detroit, because according to the Marijuana Moment, when it comes to Michigan, it sends $150 million in cannabis tax dollars to cities, schools, and transportation fund as officials approve the first consumption site as well. So that's a double good news story.
Look at that.
That's a long headline.
I love that. It says that Michigan officials on Thursday announced that they will be distributing nearly $150 million in cannabis tax revenue, divided between localities, public schools, and a transportation fund. And separately, regulators have approved the state's first licensed cannabis consumption lounge, which is set to open this month. I'm gonna go. It's not far.
No, it's not far. Yeah, just a couple hours drive. You could go down there and say, "Hey,
I'm gonna go."
Come on.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. The state treasury department said that the new funding made possible from tax revenue generated from the state's adult use cannabis program includes $42 million for 62 cities, 15 villages, 33 townships, and 53 counties.
Cannabis.
Yes.
Cannabis, right? Cannabis did that. And cannabis loves that because that's what the plant would want. And that's more than 4 times the level of funding that the state paid out to municipalities with cannabis tax dollars last year.
4 times. 4 times. Wow. Each eligible jurisdiction will therefore receive more than $56,000 for every licensed retail store and micro business located within its jurisdiction, the department said in a press release. And there are currently 374 cannabis licenses in the state. Wow. So if you got 3 stores, there's $170,000.
Wow. For those that opted in, of course.
Yes.
I'll say that again in case anybody in Marmara can hear me. For future consideration. The last year, the eligible jurisdictions received about $28,000 per licensed retailer and micro business operating in the area. That was last year.
That was last year, yes. Yeah. It goes on to say, according to the state treasurer, Rachel Eubanks, they say that the Michigan Department of Treasury will distribute these dollars as soon as practical to eligible local units. The doubling of this year's payment amounts will have a larger impact on local government budgets.
Now, meanwhile, another $49.3 million will go to school aid fund for the K-12 education and $49.3 million will support the Michigan Transportation Fund.
So it's $50 million going to school.
Is that the pot for potholes? Do you remember the pot for potholes article? I wonder if that's that one when they're talking about the transportation fund, filling up the potholes.
Maybe. Andrew Bistro, executive director for Marijuana Regulatory Agency, says that it's rewarding to see that the agency's balanced regulatory approach is effectively protecting consumers while still allowing Michigan businesses to grow and thrive. The funding provided directly to local governments and the thousands of jobs created across the state show that Michigan is leading the way in the cannabis industry.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, Al, it's an honor to be able to report on stuff like this. It's an honor to talk about cannabis.
This is where it's all going into a fund, and then it's just, and you're seeing where it's distributed. It's just not going into a slush fund, and you just don't know what it's being used for.
Because we've been reporting this for the last couple of years. I remember talking about this before and talking about how it's helping, and now we're saying even more money's going to it. It's working. Right. It's working.
It's working.
All told,
exactly.
In 2021, Michigan saw 1,311 numbers in cannabis sales for adult use, and over 481,000 for medical cannabis. Wow! In December alone, there were more than $135 million in recreational cannabis purchases and about $33 million in medical cannabis sales. Holy! In December.
In December. I'm looking at those numbers. Do you want to look at those numbers again? Is that not 1,311,000,000?
Is it billion? It is billion now.
It is billion.
I made it a mistake because I don't think I would have ever thought I was reading a billion in Michigan.
That is selling a lot of cannabis there.
Oh my goodness, Michigan loves their cannabis.
They sure do. Meanwhile, regulators have approved the state's first ever social consumption site for adult use cannabis in Hazel Park. It stands to reason that as the sector of cannabis industry grows, even more tax revenue may follow.
I can't remember if there is a province here that's cracked $1 billion in the year, just in one province. That's why it's so shocking to me to see that number. $1 billion.
Yeah, I know. Hey,
$1 billion in one state.
I was following along with you there. And
I
thought, hang on here.
Yeah.
There's extra sets of numbers there.
That's so, because when we're reading the headline, $150 million in cannabis tax dollars to all of these programs, that's a big chunk of money. So of course that's a percentage of $1 billion in sales. Like, look how the money they're making there in one state. I would like to know the population of Michigan. Okay, so regulators have approved. Did you say that already?
Yeah.
Now it's great to see this part of the cannabis industry taking off after nearly 2 years of delay due to the pandemic. That's coming from Bistro telling the Marijuana Moment. As we continue to lead the nation in innovation, we're committed to staying in touch with licensees and stakeholders to make sure we are stimulating business growth while preserving safe consumer access to cannabis. Wow.
I love a lounge. Wow. Now, according to Chief Information Officer Nofal Akash, says that which will their officer of Trucenta, something like that. They say they will operate the newly approved Hot Box Social. Said in a press release that businesses plan to see us use the space for corporate, social, and special events.
Oh my goodness. Oh
the
my
Hot
goodness.
Box, that name is used quite
It
often.
is not far. We would do articles about Reno. We would do articles about California. Michigan is not far to go to a lounge. I'm getting so excited. Now, come summer, they say, we'll start scheduling events so the public can experience Hotbox Social with consumption-friendly activities like social gatherings, educational opportunities, and art-focused activities. My goodness. I've been doing it for 3 years. It's so nice to hear that there is somebody that's doing it legally so close by. Wow.
Yeah.
Our hope is that Hotbox Social will be used to bring a new experience for companies hosting brainstorming meetings, friends who are gathering for private parties, and one-of-a-kind fundraisers to raise money for nonprofit organizations. I'm getting emotional. This is beautiful. This
You
is
like that,
wonderful.
eh?
My goodness.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
no, just
Bravo.
like when you're reading through the different things that they're talking about there, I'm going, okay, that's a lot of stuff that Kelly does. Kelly does that.
It's so nice to see this. It's really nice.
Yes, yes. Now, Michigan isn't the only state that's collecting significant tax revenue from legal cannabis sales and working to put those dollars to good use. Oh, that's good. Who else?
Massachusetts is collecting more tax revenue for cannabis than alcohol. State data released in January shows as of December 2021, the state took in $51.3 million from alcohol sales and $74.2 million from cannabis at the halfway point of the fiscal year.
They're going to double it because that's almost 50% more right now. Wow. Illinois, they saw cannabis taxes beat out booze for the first time, with the state collecting $100 million more from adult use cannabis than from alcohol.
Chuck needs to bring up these numbers. Chuck needs to bring up these numbers when they go into the court next week or this week. They need to bring up these numbers. These are just hard, cold facts of what's happening, giving back to these communities, the money that's coming in. If you federally legalize, imagine what you could do for your country.
Yeah. Well, they say here that states have legalized, where they've legalized it, they've collected more than $10 billion in tax revenue. And at least, you're seeing some places there in the article that talks about where it's being used and where it's going to.
Yeah.
So that's always good stuff.
Huge market. Yeah. Do you want to talk about Michigan, psilocybin, that kind of stuff here, where it's going? Or
I'm moving on.
It's a long article. We can just leave it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long article. And we covered the headline story.
Yeah, wonderful.
All right, on to our final story.
More good news
of the day, and that is that cannabis eases muscle spasms, lowers pain, and improves sleep in MS patients, according to a study.
Cannabis may ease multiple sclerosis symptoms such as muscle spasms, pain, and lack of sleep, and that's according to a new review by researchers at the St. James School of Medicine.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I know many patients with MS, and they'll completely agree with that. And come this Wednesday night, the Pace Radio Show has a patient with MS.
Oh, wonderful.
Who's going to talk about all that stuff. So in the paper, published in the journal Biomedicines, researchers reviewed 28 studies on MS and cannabis over the last 15 years and found that while there's evidence that cannabis helps lower severity of symptoms from MS in mice and showed some positive results in humans, more research on its effectiveness is needed. And they always end up with that line at the end of all these reports.
Absolutely. Half of the studies analyzed look at mice, while the other half were human trials. Most human trials used the patented cannabinoid extract Nabaximols sold under the Sativix brand, while mice were injected with THC or CBD. Why did the mice? Good. Why did the mice get the good medicine and the humans get the fake cannabinoids? Like, put the good stuff in the humans trial.
Yeah, they're using synthetic stuff in us. Studies on mice showed that cannabinoid treatments lower the severity of the disease, elevating hind limb stiffness, facilitating recovery, improving motor function, strengthening anti-inflammatory responses, and protecting the brain by reducing neuronal damage.
In several of the studies, animals responded to treatments with single agents, either CBD alone or THC alone, which have been previously shown to have suboptimal effects and less tolerability in humans. That explains the researchers in the study.
Yeah, and they didn't say anything about combining them, eh?
No.
Yeah. 9 of the human trials tested the effect of cannabis on muscle spasms, and a significant number of reports showed cannabis helped reduce them even after a 1-year follow-up.
Prolonged use.
Yes.
The other 5 studies tested cannabis on pain and saw that pain was reduced significantly 4 weeks after starting the treatment.
Studies done between 2007 and 2021 showed that add-on therapy with cannabinoid spray mixtures with equal concentrations of CBD and THC is effective in improving subjective measures of spasticity, pain, and bladder and sleep-related quality of life in responders within weeks of starting the treatment.
Wonderful. Studies found that benefits were maintained beyond 6 to 12 months, but some effects may wane from prolonged cannabis use.
Yeah, well, I guess they have to study it for a longer period, but for something to be still effective 12 months down the road, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Waking up the system, the ECS. Hello, put me into use.
That's right. Exactly. So that's our 10 stories for today. And what's up at the lounge this week?
Good stuff. We're open again 5 days a week. And we're making some events for April where the community can come and visit us. So right now we have our virtual stuff that we're doing. We do a show every Sunday night virtually, and we just visit normally with our normal regular hours. So maybe you'll come and visit us at some point.
Yes. Like I'll have to come down and see you.
Okay, good.
About that.
Good.
All right. All right, Shal. That's it. From the Legacy420.com news desk, that's a Reefer report for March the 28th, 2022. And in closing, we'd like to say thanks for listening and watching, and to our sponsors, Legacy420.com, PMAHydroponics.com, DrBuckCTS.com, and the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop in downtown Campbellford. And until next week, or actually Thursday, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our hydroponics superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville, and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive.
The only way to go.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.